Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select two or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the PrizePicks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, PrizePicks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Support for this podcast comes from Frito-Lay and the 2023 Snack Bracket Championship. The Frito-Lay Snack-It Challenge is underway, and fans are voting on their favorite snacks to crown champion. We're talking about prime-time matchups between the best 64 snacks in the land. Will Ruffles Ridges reign supreme? Can Doritos defend their dynasty? Or will Smart Food use their smarts for a surprise upset? Only you can decide. Get in on all the action for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks. Let your snacks be heard. Just go to fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com to vote and enter for a chance to win. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends April 3rd, 2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for one bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com.
Hello, friends. Kirk Henderson and Josh Bowe coming to you once again for another episode of Mavs Moneyball After Dark. It is about 90 minutes before the calendar flips over into March, 10:30 on Tuesday, February 28th. How you doing, Josh?
I'm doing okay. Mavericks are, I don't know what to say about the Mavericks right now.
I don't know nothing about the Mavericks, but they're in trouble.
Yeah.
So the Dallas Mavericks fell to the Indiana Pacers at home, 124-122. A game in which the Pacers tried to give the game away after scoring 31, 38, 37 in the first three quarters. The Mavericks were a little behind them. The Mavericks allowed 70 points in the first half, and the Pacers, they really tried to give the game away to Dallas, and unfortunately the Mavericks could not capitalize. I don't know. This was an interesting one. I have a lot of kind of like broader thoughts. I don't have any specific about this game because the way I felt like it was going to go was an offensively charged game, and I thought the Mavericks would pull away. And what happened was the Pacers pulled away and the Mavericks rallied back. Pacers shot the hell out of the ball from three. I guess,
they ended up pretty average.
Yeah, the 11 for 28, 40%. But at a certain point in the game, they were basically raining down. The Mavericks, wonder what their paint points were.
I've got it already if you want. It was
tell me.
62-50 in favor of Dallas.
So the Pacers scored 50 points in the paint, which is an improvement.
Which isn't that like the saddest?
Saddest it's not very good, but they were giving up like 60, so
right.
An improvement.
Baby steps.
Yeah, and they still couldn't win. There's a lot of like. So I want to talk about some overarching stuff, but I'm interested about what you thought about the specifics because this was a very solid Luka Doncic performance on offense. On defense, once again, he was just not very good. He has to be better. Sorry. The end. He has to be better. But other than him, the offense was kind of odd. Kyrie played his second straight. So his statistical performance, like 9 assists and 0 turnovers, was pretty magnificent. He moved the ball real well. He's such a good connective piece when things are kind of going, when the ball is popping. But he was not able to score the ball tonight, and that really hurt the Mavericks. He was 2 of 10 last game, so he's 2 of his last 14 from 3. I'm sort of surprised by that, but everybody should be allowed to have an off game. Maxi Kleber came back. How did Maxi have 0 rebounds?
Yeah. Yeah.
But obviously, like the defense looks better with Kleber on the floor in 24 minutes. Other than that, I don't really have a ton of thoughts. Josh Green once again didn't play enough minutes. Congratulations to Jason Kidd for that. Good work. 37 minutes for Tim Hardaway. Really something, that Jason Kidd. We'll circle back to him in the end of the game. So what else you got? What do you think?
Yeah, this game was, through 3 quarters, it was what we've been seeing for the last week or so. Just zero defensive resistance at all. And, what I talked about in my defensive piece that I wrote after the Lakers loss was, I was like, the Mavericks are getting really good 3-point luck, opponent 3-point luck. Like last 5 games entering this game, the Mavericks opponents were shooting 29% from 3. And, your good buddy, Seth Partnow, really good, smart, one of the smartest analytic guys in the league. He's written about this. Other smart people have written about how, 3-point defense is more variance and luck than it is like actual defense in terms of like the shooting percentage. Now, obviously, like taking away 3-point shots is you have control of that. But in terms of like controlling what a team shoots percentage wise, there's a lot of variance there. You could play terrible defense and a team's hot and cooks you, and you can play awful defense, but a team's cold because the 3-point shot is a variable shot. It's league average. It's 35% shot. Like that's not automatic. So, they were due for an opponent to start making some threes on them, and the Pacers did 11-28. What's crazy was it still wasn't like a 39%. Like that's a good night, but that's not like they didn't go bonkers. They didn't hit like 18 threes or something, wild. And that's kind of what happened. Like it was like they kind of finally did a little bit better in the paint, but they were due to get bombed from 3, and they got bombed from 3. The free throw stuff was incredible. The Pacers shot 40 free throws. I think a lot of fans are going to have trouble with how the game was called, and no NBA game should have 68 free throws in it. Like even if like just it should, like the Mavericks had 28. But the Mavericks foul a lot because they can't play defense because they can't stay in front of anyone. So they're reaching and they're pulling and they're tugging because they can't guard anyone. And it's just a cascading amount of issues. Like they finally did a little bit better in the paint, but again, they get bombed from 3. They foul. They can't stay in front of anyone. Miles Turner was incredible, 10 of 13 from the floor, and it was like he just posted up and shot over every Mavericks big like they weren't even guarding him. Even Maxey got his chances, and Turner cooked him a couple times in the fourth quarter, like just really smooth little short mid-range fades in the paint. And there was nothing the Mavericks could do unless they wanted the double. It was defense. It was all the defense. Like the Mavericks had like that third quarter was crazy. They scored 39 points and they only took 2 points off the Pacers lead. Like they entered halftime down 10 and they enter the fourth quarter only down 8 when you score 39 points in the third quarter. Like that's, what are you going to do? Like they finally got a break in the fourth quarter and the Pacers, peed down their legs for like the last 5 minutes of the game. And they look like the team that they've been all season, which is, by the way, the 5th worst net rating in the NBA. The only other 4 teams that are worse are those 4 awful teams that are trying to get Wemby. And the Mavericks missed like 3 straight wide open threes. They play they get the awful shot at the end of the game. Like you said, the Pacers tried to give it away in the last 2 minutes with their youth and their inexperience. And the Mavericks had opportunities and they didn't take them. And it's just like, again, how many games have followed this script? Defense lets them down. Offense dries up in the clutch. They lose.
Yep.
That's almost every loss is like that now.
Yeah. Oh, brother.
So, I don't know anything specific you want to get into.
Well, during the last game, which the Mavericks also lost, let's be clear, I got a little fired up after the Lakers game, and I called for Jason Kidd to be fired. And then I did a post-game show where I also called for Jason Kidd to be fired when it was a live show. Then I did a Mavs Moneyball Minute where I said I still think Jason Kidd should be fired. Let me be clear. It is my official position that Jason Kidd should not coach the Dallas Mavericks. I don't think it's really a widely shared position within our website. We employ 20 plus writers. People may not realize that because we have a lot of people who do stuff a game at a time. Jason Kidd is not the main problem. I really actually, think what he had to say the other day. He had the right point calling out Luka. But when he does so by refusing to take any responsibility, he makes himself a bigger problem than he needs to be. And watching this game tonight, once again, it's kind of clear to me that he really doesn't know what he's doing. The Mavericks do not make in-game adjustments, period. They ran on the final play of the game. They had 7 seconds left. The Mavericks lost another clutch time game. That's got to be noted. They ran the Luka Doncic step back play, but for Kyrie. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, and they were down 2.
They were down 2.
They're down 2, and you get a contested step back 3 on the final possession. Like even nothing towards the bat. Like Pacers can't foul you. Like you have the advantages are all on your side in that. In a game where a ton of fouls are being called, by the way, and you don't even try. I don't care if they ended up with a 3, but you don't even try to do anything toward the basket. Like it was just a give up. It was a total give up of possession. And it's like, I don't know what they're doing.
So here's a fun thing. This is from 6 years ago. Okay. 6 years ago. Draymond Green and the Warriors beat the Bucks. Jason Kidd's Bucks. Okay. The Warriors won 124-121. After the game, Green told reporters they have 2 plays that they run in situations like that. Everybody knows what the Mavericks are going to do. I'm sorry. This is NBA basketball. This is not like 9th grade junk time offense. You have 2 of the best offensive players in basketball. Green went on to say, I think that's disrespectful to me. I take that as disrespect. Don't go at me for the game. And of course, I'll say that the next game they'll get game or something like that. But whatever. I knew what play they were running. They have 2 plays that they run in situations like that.
Yeah.
He is not the biggest problem. The way this team is constructed is the biggest problem. Okay.
For sure.
Luka not playing good enough defense regularly is another big time problem.
Got to get that shit together, man. It was awful tonight. I don't want to try to steer the conversation away from the point you're making,
it's
but
about all these things. But
he has to be better. He has to be he needs to be he doesn't even need to be great. He just needs to be okay. He's a defense. He's a defensive negative, and people are going to be like, well, what about Powell? And I'm like, yeah, all those guys suck at defense too, but Luka's the one making $200 million. Powell's not going to be on the, some of these guys aren't going to be on the team in 2 or 3 years. What's the, we can only say so much about their weaknesses. The guy that's going to be on the team, hopefully for a long time, has to get better.
So when you go through this whole thing, honest to goodness, guys, Kidd is down the list. But I'll tell you what, Kidd is the thing that you can fix right now if you have the will.
Yeah, there's no salary cap. There's no salary cap for coaches' contracts.
That's exactly right. Now, our buddy Austin went on 77 Minutes in Heaven, and we love Austin. He's a former Mavs Moneyball contributor. He's welcome back here anytime he wants to write. Austin on the podcast basically defended Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd is an indefensible coach. He does not know what he's doing. In the first half of that game, Luka got a tech because Luka was getting mugged. Up until that point in the game, Luka had actually done a great job keeping his emotions in check because he was getting the shit kicked out of them. Carlisle probably said, get under his skin, hit him to death. Kidd once again refused to come to his best player's defense. That is the thing that is within his job responsibility. He doesn't have to do it every game. He's done it once, all in 2 years, actually. It was the Timberwolves game when Luka got kicked out. But you want to do it before your star player gets kicked out. I am really questioning whether he has any link to this team. The notion that he should be the coach is because the players like him. That's the gist. That's the big picture selling point. And that he's a Hall of Fame basketball player. Not his strategic chops. He's a player's coach. Right now, I'm openly asking the question, is he? I could be wrong. There's a lot of stuff I don't know. But I'm really curious because another performance like this, where he draws up the same bad play, has the same bad rotations. Again, it's like fifth down the list of the Mavericks' problems, but it's really frustrating to watch. And, I'm going to tout our own piece today because Brent Brooks wrote this piece. It's about 2,000 words on why Jason Kidd is really not the right fit. There's all sorts of stuff in this. And he goes through like years of quotes. Kidd has not changed a lick since Milwaukee. A lick. He gives very similar quotes. He frankly doesn't seem to understand how time works because he calls players that are 30 plus years old young, which I suppose is like true to him because he's 50 something. But no, like, I don't know. And again, I'm gonna get crushed for this, but I don't really care because I would love to be proven wrong. I would have loved for the Mavericks to have come out and won this game and for Kidd to gone into the post-game presser and been like, I'm the problem, which is the kind of thing he would do, because he's sassy like that. And that's what makes him a, kind of a sociopath, all Hall of Fame player. Like, you got to be a little bit nuts. And I think about this that Brent wrote today. He wrote, spoiler alert, Kidd is not going anywhere, not this season and not anytime soon. The Western Conference Finals bought him this year and at least one more before any talk of the hot seat would gain traction. Yet, with all relationships, the psychological expiration date and the day it actually ends are rarely one and the same. There's the day your marriage dies and the day the movers show up. One is a gut feeling, the other is paperwork. Now, I implore you to go read this piece. And you probably already have, because this is one of the most widely read pieces that we've had that's kind of a one-off, that's not game coverage all year. I'm not like surprised, but I am surprised with the way like metrics and stuff work. So I just wanted to focus on that briefly because I still think it's a problem. Now, maybe the Mavericks go on a 12-4 run and just like crush the rest of the year and I look like an idiot. That's preferable. I want the Mavericks to win. Nobody listens to our shows when we lose.
No,
so,
no one reads the site when we lose.
No, so it's just like I don't really know how to feel. I would like, we've not even talked about the fact about how Christian Wood stormed off into the locker room.
Let's wait on that because this goes back more into Kidd.
Okay.
Like, I want to keep on we kind of haven't really touched on the biggest thing that I think he's goofing up right now is what in the hell is he doing with Josh Green?
I don't know. Disrespecting the shit out of him. That's for one.
The players coach is going to bench the third-year forward who's having the best month of his career for the journeyman buyout guy they signed a week ago in his second game. Are you kidding me?
I've talked to people around the league that think that's nuts. It's just nobody wants to say it.
The untradeable asset Josh Green has been benched for the 35 whatever year old Justin Holiday, who's played on 35 teams. Who's like an okay veteran, but like, are you kidding me? During Green's best month of his career, the guy that's been languishing for 2 years, that's been behind the 8 ball because of COVID, ruining his college season, ruining his youth ball, ruining his rookie NBA season, playing under Rick Carlisle, who did not want to give him any opportunities. He finally gets under that shadow, finally gets some opportunities, gets some minutes, does something with those minutes. Like instantly, as soon as he got minutes, he did something with them. In the month of February, he's averaging 14 points a game on 50%, 52 from the field, 40% from three. And you bench him for the journeyman buyout guy, Justin Holiday, who couldn't even hang in with Atlanta, who's trying to fight for a playoff spot right now. Like, are you joking? Like, that is one of the most disrespectful things I've seen a coach do in a long ass time. And it's honestly something that like I would think Rick would do. It's the kind of stuff we would kill Rick for. And the players hated Rick. Like, how can that locker room look at this and be like, yeah, this is cool? Because they love Josh Green. Like, those players talk him up all the time. How can they be cool with what's going on right now? It's absurd. And Justin Holiday hasn't done shit in these 2 games he started. And by the way, that's not his fault, though. Like, Why is he starting? Like, you're putting him in a bad position, too. Yeah. Like, this is a guy who's trying to, keep his career going as long as he can, and he plays a really nice game off the bench, and then you're just going to throw him into the starting lineup? Why can't you just let him keep having nice games off the bench? It's one of the stupidest things I've seen, and I do not understand it. And there's no defense for it. Like, I don't care who calls for it. If you notice, like, no one's talking about it. Like, none of the people that we kind of sometimes criticize from the media side are talking about it because they know it sucks, but they can't talk about it for a variety of reasons. But we need to talk about it because it's awful. And you know how me and you have felt about the Josh Green pick. So if we're saying this, like, what the hell? Like, I just, like, there are parts of this game where I'm like, okay, whatever. It is what it is. Like, the defense is bad because the roster's bad. Their depth is killed. But that is malpractice, franchise malpractice, what they're doing to Josh Green right now. That's awful. And by the way, Green in 22 minutes had 8 and 6, 2 assists.
Looked nice.
His plus minus wasn't good, but because he was coming, he's playing with bench units with Christian Wood, who didn't give a shit and gave up on the team tonight. Like, we can go into Wood now, but I had to get that off my chest.
I don't even know what to say about Wood.
That's awful.
I don't even know what to say about Wood.
His
agent has been conducting like a weird guerrilla campaign, talking to people, and he's done. They should.
That was his Rajon Rondo game, whatever, against the Houston Rockets in that first round playoff series.
He did what we think he did, and that's the big caveat, because he might have been injured. I don't know. Didn't look injured. He looked like he got owned, and then he got taken out of the game because he can't play defense, and he makes bad decisions. And then he stormed off the floor. So if he stormed off the floor, the Mavericks, it is in their best interest to send him home, and he can stay home. What do you think?
I think the same thing. Again, we don't know what, he actually
I just kicked the shit out of Kid. I complained about Kid.
He's right on this one.
Just send him home.
Yeah.
He might have, and there's something to be said where Kid might have had a point the whole time.
Yeah, we got to give him that one, right?
Well, I mean, it's not like it's not like him being skeptical of Christian Wood is like some crazy thing, because
right, the league is
played for it's like
skeptical of Christian Wood.
People are like, oh, Christian Wood's gonna go get a max contract, and I'm like, from who? The Shanghai Sharks? What the hell are you talking about? Like that, it's a guy who does stuff like this is why he is where he is. If he has done what we think he's done, we don't know right now. This is ugly. This is gonna get ugly, because they play the Philadelphia 76ers and MVP candidate Joel Embiid next, and James Harden, who are kind of flailing themselves, but the Mavericks don't have anybody that can guard Embiid.
But yeah, I don't want to see, if what happened, again, if the injury report comes out, whatever, I don't know, whatever. Yeah. But if what happened, what we think happened, I don't want to see him play in another game again.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.
Why? Like, I don't. Like, I mean, because it wasn't just that, like, he stormed off. It was dude, like, the 2 or 3 minutes that he played leading up to that was some of the worst. Like, no defense, took lazy 3-pointers.
Block hunting, like, my, like a kid playing Xbox trying to go for blocks.
And then in a league where they don't call moving screens, he set the 2 most obvious moving, like, just the most laziest screen setting I've ever seen. That, like, the refs don't want to call moving screens, and they had to call it twice in a row, back-to-back possessions, and then he walks off, and it's like, dude, I don't want to see him anymore. He was a -6. This was one time where I think plus minus gets it right. He was the team worst -16, and all 18 of his minutes, it felt like the team was awful. And you saw that second quarter, or the third quarter, where they came out on fire. Maxey started the game. They cut the lead, I think. They took the lead in the third quarter, and then Maxey comes off the bench. Maxey has to go back to the bench. Wood comes in, and they immediately gave it right back up. They were up like 84, 82, and then Maxey hits the bench. Wood comes in, and then the Pacers are up 90-84 before the Mavericks score again. And it's like, dude, like, just, you want to talk all that crap about, like, I'm playing the most efficient basketball of my career. You want to tweet that you didn't get traded and we don't know anything. And then he got opportunities tonight. This wasn't the case of Kid holding his minutes back. Like, he played more than Powell. He was up higher in the rotation than Powell, especially in the second half. He got a long stretch in that third quarter to show something, and he totally blew it. And I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to hear Mavs fans anymore talk about how they're mistreating him. Like it's over. I do not want to dedicate any more headspace to Christian Wood for the rest of the season.
Magnificent. You're on your Christian Wood horse. I'm on mine with Jason Kidd. Knowing our luck, Christian Wood will be back and play really well. Jason Kidd will coach a hell of a game, and we'll look stupid. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been wrestling with this lately because I take my position as one of fan analyst as seriously as I can, where I try to never blur the line between what I think I am and what, I don't go to games. I don't do media stuff. I don't try to present myself as an expert. Where I have been for a long time is that if I am ever part of a story related to the Mavericks, then that thread has been lost because I don't matter. And what I found particularly weird as things have gotten sideways, and this is just the nature of social media, where people will be like, well, this is like, let's talk about your take over the performance of the team and what we watched. And I've just thought that to be very odd. I think I'm a little too sensitive. And that's, just kind of who I am. But it's just we're just like in an odd place with the discourse where there's Kyrie stands, the very weird Jason Kidd stands. I implore, like, at least with Kyrie, he's an active player. The Luka stands and the people who love Mark Cuban like he's their personal savior. And I just, we're in a bit of an, like, when things are ugly, things get, like, the ugliness ramps up. Am I making any sense?
You are, and I have a theory for why it's like that. And
sure.
We watched all of Dirk's prime.
Yeah.
We were cognizant of it. We weren't three during Dirk's prime. We saw him from rookie year to his last game. And you think about the standard that he set for how good, I don't think we talk enough about the stretch of 51 seasons that the Mavericks had with Dirk. And we just kind of oh, that was just nothing. Because in the moment, it was just so it was just so easy. Like Dirk just was such an effortless, talented superstar. Just not trying. Obviously, he was one of the hardest workers in the league, but just saying he made it look easy because he was so good. And they won. Remember when we would get disappointed when they would win 55 games because because the Spurs would win 62. And think about how many games this Mavericks team has won in the last 5 years. They've had one 50-win season. Of course, some of them got knocked off by COVID, but I don't think they were going to win 50 games in those seasons if they were full seasons with their win percentage. They've made the Western Conference Finals, but they've had 2 other seasons where they didn't win a playoff series, and now we're steering very close to potentially 3 out of 4 seasons where they don't win a playoff series. And that never happened. That never happened with Dirk. Even when when Ben and Skin on their radio show, Ben, I think it was more Ben, coined them the one and done boys. That was only 2 or 3 years, and then they won the title.
Yeah.
The Mavericks regularly under Dirk were in contention for a top 3 seed. They were always over 50 wins. They usually got to the second round on average most seasons. And I think what we're seeing now is a lot of people, both part of the organization, close to the organization, and even fans that are just not used to seeing an organization struggle. And the thing is most of the NBA organizations struggle. It's not crazy for what the kind of run that the Mavericks are going on. A lot of teams would trade places with the Mavericks right now. But the thing is just no one's used to it. The owner is not used to it. The people that work for the organization are not used to it. The fans aren't used to it, especially the ones that are younger than us are especially not used to it. It's just different. When it comes to when the Mavericks have an expectation of winning, when Dirk was in his prime, they never had a season like this, right? They've never had a season where they've before the championship run, and then even a little, a couple years after that, they were always well above 500. You never talked about like their playoff positioning really. They were always a lock. Like I don't think I can ever remember Dirk in his prime and the Mavs only being one game over 500 as March is going to start. Can you remember that? Like anytime from Dirk age from like the 02-03 season till they won the title, were they ever 32-31 or close to that at this late in the season? I don't think so. And I just think a lot of people are struggling because they're just not used to it. And I think it's causing some lashing out. I think it's, that causes people to shift blame and they don't want to believe what they're seeing and all that stuff. But like at a certain point, reality just has to set in and be like, look, this team is just not good enough. And that goes to the roster, that goes to the coach. And I think that is a cold, harsh reality that a lot of people close to this organization or that have followed this organization are just not used to. And that's my theory.
I saw a tweet today by a guy. I want to say he has me blocked. I don't know why. I don't think I ever interacted with him. I think his name was @MavsEvan2. And someone shared a screenshot of the tweet that was every Mavericks trade is since the Luka drafting has been a panic trade. And God dang, I don't know if I totally agree with it, but man, if it made me pause and go, huh.
I don't think the KP trade was a panic trade. I think that was just them thinking that they got to steal. Like they
got to steal. That was the only.
They bought low. Yeah. But I know what you mean. Yeah, Kyrie. The Kyrie trade does not happen if they're 12, 13 games over 500.
Let's be clear, guys. Like the Mavericks have won one game with Luka and Kyrie playing together. One against,
and that's another thing
in the league.
That's another thing that really sucks about this is Kyrie wins his first two games. And honestly, the vibes look pretty good. Like, he was saying all the right things after his press conferences. Me and you both talked about how good it was that he just flat out was like, hey, let's not talk about the contract stuff. Let's just talk about the basketball.
Yeah, I'm still glad we're not talking about it.
Yeah. And this is a guy you're trying, because make no mistake, they don't make this trade for him to be a rental. They did not. Absolutely. You don't make this trade if you think you're only getting him for 6 months or whatever. You make this trade to keep him. And man, they are not putting their best foot forward. Like, these games, they need to turn it around quickly, because I'm just thinking like, man, what kind of impression is this leaving on Kyrie? And this is crazy because we never even really wanted them to trade for him in the first place. But like, if he walks this summer, you want to talk about apocalyptic scenarios. Like, yep. I don't even want to get there yet, but that's another part of this thing that sucks, is that the rest of the season is about telling Kyrie why Dallas is the organization he wants to stay with, and how's that going? It's not going great, right? They're not off to a good start for convincing him that Dallas is the team he needs to play for the next 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I don't know. I find myself like, is sad the right word? I don't know. I guess I feel a little sad because, it goes back to the offseason where they made a mistake. We didn't know the mistake would be this big in terms of Jalen Brunson. And we're just sort of staring down the barrel of a gun, wondering if we can turn the gun around. Like nothing would shock me with this team if they could figure out a way to string something together.
Yeah, I mean, they looked really good in the maxi minutes. So if he can ramp up to 30 minutes a game, the problem is when he's off the floor, it's a disaster. It's a lot of pressure to put on him.
Yeah, the funny part is, as of this recording, I think the Blazers are beating the Warriors. No, are the Warriors back? The Warriors came back and are now beating Portland. So the Mavericks, if they beat Portland, the Mavericks are going to fall down to 7th, I think.
But yeah, I mean,
I'm rambling at this point. I'm not making sense. It's very taxing to see the problem and not be able to do anything about it, because I think the Mavericks know this too. Like they have such a narrow path to victory. And when they can't do it, it feels so disappointing. Oh,
yeah. Well. And I guess if we want to end it let's not end it on such a downer note. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I really do feel like the Maxey minutes, like they were good minutes.
They look good.
They
He
look
looked
better.
great.
Yeah. So you just you hope you this Christian Wood thing be like, like if they kick him to the curb, they figure out this dumb Justin Holiday, Josh Green thing. Like if they play Kyrie, Luka, Green, Maxey, and then whoever for their fifth spot, Powell, whoever, it doesn't matter. If they can just play those four guys a lot to close the season, they can salvage something. But they got to get there. And for the life of me, I don't know why that's so hard to figure out. I mean, obviously Maxey with the minutes thing, but I cannot get over this Green thing. It doesn't make any sense. So they got to figure that part out. It's there for them to figure it out. They just got to do it.
Okay. Well, let's go do it. Everybody ignore me being an insane person. I'm tired. I think we're all tired.
You weren't even that insane. I was more insane in this podcast than you were, I think.
I don't know. I'm very I'm very in my own head because I feel like when you go to the comments and you're like, and granted, never go to the comments.
Never go to the comments.
the comments to the post, there's one guy who's like, Jason Kidd is why we got to the Western Conference Finals. And I'm just like, am I in an alternative reality where what? And then where it's just like, oh, well, Jason Kidd, it's like Jason Kidd deserves a lot of credit for what they did last year. Okay. That said, he's not done a very good job this year. I think both things can be true.
But I mean, if he deserves a lot of credit for what they did last year, why doesn't he deserve credit for what they're doing this year?
Bingo. All right.
Coaches can affect the game when it's good, but they don't affect it when it's going bad. What are we doing?
I had somebody. Let me go find because I'm gonna end on this because I'm a shit. It was Nick Angstad who asked the question. Kudos to Nick for asking a really tough question the other night. But let me tell you this. So I had somebody really smart, national media members, say to me, give me a list of all the coaches who are, Hall of Fame coaches, championship level coaches, who ever uttered a phrase, anything similar to the fact of I'm not the savior here. And yeah. That's going to stick with me for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We'll be back. We'll be back Thursday night.
Have a fun live show.
Right. Live show's going to be great. All right. Everybody be good. Come to Mavs Moneyball. We put up some great work last week. Really proud of the boys. And girl, because Meta wrote an amazing piece for Luca's birthday that's actually a little bit uplifting. All right, guys. We'll talk soon. Everybody have a good middle of the week, and we'll be here on Thursday. Bye, guys.